Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great day. Today we are going to be doing something similar as to what we did last Wednesday. We're going to be solving one-step equation word problems, but this time we are going to be multiplying and dividing. Now, the rules with how we do this are very similar to what we did last week. So we're still setting up our triangle. That isn't changing. Our total still goes at the top of our triangle. That isn't changing. Okay? The only difference here is instead of adding or subtracting, we are going to be multiplying or dividing. So let's read the problem. It says, Samuel's father is twice as tall as he is. Samuel's father, I need a different color, sorry. Here we go. Samuel's father is twice as tall as he is. If Samuel's father is 6.5 feet tall, how tall is Sam? So the first thing I'm going to figure out is what my variable is. What don't I know? Remember, my variable is what I don't know. And what I don't know is how tall Sam is. So my variable, I'm going to do it as h equals Sam's height. That is what I don't know. Now, I have to figure out, do I know the total? And the answer is yes. I know the total here is 6.5 because his dad is 6.5 feet tall. When I am talking about multiplication and division, if I know my total, then my equation will be multiplication. Oops, there we go. If I know the total, then my equation will be multiplication, okay? So, very similar to how we set up the addition. Excuse me. If it is multiplication, my multiplication sign will go down here. My equal sign will go over here. Now I just have to fill in my two other values in my two other corners. So one of those values is h, my variable, and the other is 2, because Samuel's father is twice as tall. Twice means 2 times. So my equation is 2 times h equals 6.5, or I can just write it as 2h equals 6.5. Now, all I have to do is solve it. I circle my variable. The opposite of multiplication is division, so I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Remember, a fraction bar is just another way to write division. These cancel each other out. I'm left with h equals 6.5 divided by 2 is 3.25. So my answer is Sam is 3.25 feet tall. Again, this should look very familiar to you. The only difference between what we are doing today and what we did last week is now we're dealing with multiplication and division instead of addition and subtraction. Okay? So I bet if you paid attention last week, you will know what we are about to do. I'm going to set up my triangle. I'm going to set it up a little bit off to the side, you'll see here, because I might need to do some extra work here. Okay? Again, my total always goes at the top. Always. That does not change. This problem says a group of 6 friends decided to equally share, should give you a clue as to what we were doing, a large bag of Skittles. Each friend ended up with 1 3/4 pound of a bag. How much did the large bag of Skittles weigh to begin with? If I don't know how much it weighed to begin with, do I know my total? No. That is what I don't know. If it is the starting amount, that is the total. So I'm going to do W equals weight of large bag. Okay? And that is my total. I don't know my total. Now, again, if you were paying attention last week, you will probably know that if I don't know my total, if I don't know my total, my equation will be division. I bet some of you guessed that already. Okay, so my division will go over here, and my equal sign will go down here. Okay, so if I don't know my total, I'm doing division. Now all I have to do is fill in my other 2 known values, and it doesn't matter which one I put where, we'll get the right answer. So I have 6, and I have 1 3/4. So now I can see my equation is W divided by 6 equals 1 3/4. Now, I'm going to move my equation over here so that I can do the work. Okay, so I have, again, W divided by 6 equals 1 3/4. The opposite of division, the thing I need to do to isolate my variable, is multiplication. So I'm going to multiply by 6. I'm going to do the same thing over here. These cancel each other out. I'm left with W. I have to make this into an improper fraction. So 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. So this is actually 7/4. 7 times 6 is 42. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 goes into 42 10 times. And I have 2/4 left over, which is 1/2. So the large bag weighed 10.5 pounds. That is my answer. Notice this is not just for the picture, it's also for the work. It tells you that. Okay. Sorry about my sniffling. Number 3, the cafeteria at Narrows View serves lunch daily. Each lunch includes 5/8 pounds of potatoes. The cooks use 50 pounds of potatoes. How many lunches can they make? So, my first question is, do I know my total? Yes, I know that they make 50 pounds, they use 50 pounds of potatoes. Since I know my total, I know I'm going to be doing multiplication. Now all I need to do is find my other 2 values. Well, one of them is 5/8, I know that. And the other one is going to be my variable. But what is my variable? Yes, it is how many lunches they can make. So I'm going to do L for number of lunches. So L will go here. So my equation is L times 5/8 equals 50, or I can write it as 5/8 L equals 50. Now, I have to isolate L, I need to divide both sides by 5/8, but I want you to remember this. Dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. In other words, if I wanted to divide this by 5/8, all I have to do is multiply it by 8/5. And I do the same thing to both sides. Here is why. These cancel each other out, and all I'm left with is L. Now I have 50 over 1 times 8 over 5. 50 and 5 can both be divided by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 50 divided by 5 is 10. 10 over 1 times 8 over 1 is 80 over 1, or just 80. So they can make 80 lunches. Dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay. Last one. Let's see if I can make this a little bit better. There we go. Students at Narrowsview and Drum are making banners to support their friends competing in the Math Olympics. They have several yards of fabric. Each banner uses 3.75 yards of fabric, and they have enough to make 8 banners. How many yards of fabric did they have to begin with? If I don't know what they have to begin with, do I have my total? No, that will be my total. So what I don't know is how many yards of fabric they have. That is my variable. What I do know is that if I don't know my total, I'm going to be dividing. And now all I have to do is fill in the other numbers they gave me. Well, 3.75 and 8. So my equation is y divided by 3.75 equals 8. To solve, I want to isolate y, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 3.75. These cancel each other out. I'm left with y equals, I'm going to kind of do a little side math and flip these around. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 7 is 56. Plus 4 is 60. 8 times 3 is 24. Plus 6 is 30. I have 2 digits after the decimal in my problem, so I have 2 digits after the decimal in my answer. And I know that y equals 30. But the question asked me, how many yards of fabric did they have to begin with? They had 30 yards of fabric. Okay. All right. On your homework, the numbers are kind of weird. So if it says problem 1A and 2A and 3A, I want you to do it all together, and then you might have to answer different parts of it on the Google form. So like one part might be 1A, what is the variable? You're going to check what the variable is. 1B, what is the equation? You would type in or check the correct equation. And then 1C, what is the answer? You would have to put in the answer. But you're only going to want to use one box of our homework paper to do all of that work for one problem. So make sure you don't do like 1A, 1B, 1C in 3 separate boxes. Okay? Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.